Miles Spider-Man is the MVP for a few reasons. I mean, he's a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. I mean, he's another friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, a guy that just looks out for the community. He can punch or kick you with electricity. And when Harry died, he was a big part on how he was able to get revived by using his electricity to basically restart his heart, I'm assuming here. But Harry did end up being in a coma, but I guess being in a coma is better than dead for good, right? I mean, he even did a good job battling Peter when he was powered up by the symbiote having extra strength. So it lets you know that Miles is the MVP. Let's get into Miles in this video, though. Imagine there being a world where there's already one Spider-Man, but then you coincidentally get bitten by a spider that was re-engineered to copy his spider powers from one of their spiders that actually escaped, that can do different stuff like electricity and stuff. That's Miles' spider right there that bit him instead. It makes you wonder, what the heck was Oscorp doing in here, trying to duplicate a whole bunch of Spider-Man or a spider army in this game universe, trying to reverse engineer his abilities? They even teased his abilities talking about bioelectrokinesis. And Miles can go invisible. He actually has fighting training from Spider-Man Peter Parker himself before he even had abilities to show some of the basics of fighting here. Not to mention he has a lot of off-screen training. And with no powers, he actually applied this training in combat when he was fighting grown behind men during this prison thing. Booyah. You can literally see him getting off-screen training, being like a little Spider Junior here. When it comes to super suits and just spider gear or gear in general, he's always evolving. Since there's two Spider-Man, him and Peter both work together to improve their spider superhero tag. That's why you see him get a new suit here, for example, but started with little baby suits like this. In the newer games, even made himself a newer suit. Like a good example is that, yeah, we already know about the famous web slinging to maneuver and get cross distances. But he also has web wings that helps him glide. It's literally confirmed in the new Spider-Man game that they've been working on tech off screen. One of the many new tech upgrades being the web wings, of course. The new events of the new game prove he has a spider bot as well. You can literally see him pull out the spider bot on the mission, just like how Pete got a spider bot, he has one too. He even got hooked up with some new tech from his Uncle Aaron, who's the Prowler, so you know he has useful tech, constantly making improvements for his spider activities. He just has an intuitive grasp of science and technology. Miles is smart, even before spider powers. Here in this particular situation, his dad talks about Miles. He was taking apart the TV when he was 5. Now he's unlocking his friends' phones. Made some tricked out skates with compressed air boosters in the lore. They was calling them little geniuses. He's won all kinds of rewards. They graduated at the top of their class. Being a Spider-Man type character is naturally, he has fighting speed to dodge bullets, spider sense and reflexes and everything, helping him be able to react to missiles, or one could say rocket launchers, mid-flight. Partly due to spider sense, but yeah, he can act quick in quick situations while he's chasing a being like the lizard, for example. Push doors down with ease. And he's physically strong enough, even if you have some gear protecting you, he can one-shot knock you out. Cutscenes pretty much show how easily he can knock these beings out without having to do combos like the gameplay makes it seem. We see him, obviously, he's strong enough to move entire cars with his super strength. To fight these cybernetic bird things, he rips them apart. All this debris, he can easily lift up all this with his strength. You got occasions like this, we can see what he does to this vehicle, slowing it down. You got bigger vehicles like trucks he can slow down. These spider characters are just so strong. They can catch vehicles like this. Miles, just like Peter can do it, he can do it. He has the strength to move stuff that's on trains, tracks. As you can see, this is something that's common for Spider-Man tiers, to be able to stop a bus from falling with his web strength and just muscles in general, or hold it or support it for a little bit. Combination of his webs, trying to stabilize it a little bit. Can use his physical strength to make them be able to get across with this bridge to show his Spidey strength. It's a combination of his webs and strength to pull all this rubble down. He's so much stronger than your normal human. Even if you're a trained fighter, he can just one-shot you, even if you gang up on him. You see his strength when it comes to this cage. You can't just lock him up without even using his electric abilities. He can just physically break out with super strength. When it comes to brick walls, he can definitely punch through. These super doors that try to keep bad super prisoners in there, he can just punch through with his lightning enhanced punches. To show off his strength, he was able to punch Rhino so hard, or one could say even kick him through the ground with momentum in the mall. He's one of those characters, just like Peter, he has to hold back a lot, but when he doesn't have to hold back, he can easily kick through walls. Are you really surprised his kicks can do this? You see the crane right here holding all this heavy stuff right here. Even if he can't move it out the way, he can just punch it apart after it falls accidentally. Like you see the train coming, he don't have time to move it out the way, so he can literally just punch it apart with his striking power, which is absolutely crazy. Spider-Man type characters, because he's somewhat relative to Peter to some degree because they have similar powers, they can withstand being rammed through buildings or big explosions that send you flying that hard in the metal. For example, that's how much Peter can take going through all these buildings thanks to Rhino's raw strength. He can add to his punching power with electric shock type of abilities to add elemental damage to his punching power for beings that are actually stronger than him. It stuns them extra. Because you're durable to blunt stuff doesn't mean you're durable to a certain elemental attack. Miles also got some improvements to his electric power to where it actually gets a different color. He could do his own blue lightning energy blast Kamehameha looking crap now, you know. Like Miles originally thought that Lee's energy got entangled with his and that's what made his lightning blue. But there's implications that it was just because of stress and it wasn't Lee powering him up. It was implied later on in the game when he actually confronted Martin Lee that he didn't give him this power upgrade or whatever, with how he replied saying, "I didn't give you those." Miles on this occasion was talking to Mary Jane about his new spider powers and why they're here. Mary Jane theorized that it could be just not a power, but it could be just from stress. Miles' own powers being amplified via stress on his own self, because what he's going through is a lot. I mean, he can use his new blue lightning to do omnidirectional blasts and knock multiple beings out at the same time. His Venom-based attacks. Not to mention, you can't sleep on how strong Rhino is. Like, he can lift up big chunks out of the ground from down here. In occasions like Rhino, who's strong enough to throw tanks that far, and Miles Morales can withstand strikes from this being and just keep on fighting afterwards, even being rammed through walls like this. What's even more impressive, even though it's confirmed that Rhino is stronger than Spider Tears, they still can hold their weight and strength to a better degree to even push him off of them, even in certain situations. He can even punch hard enough to do this kind of punch to Rhino way out the building through the wall. And it's a common fact at this point when it comes to Spider-Man PS5 that Rhino's just stronger than Spider Tears. Notice how in this example when Spider-Man said, "I fight people stronger than me all the time," but Miles interjected him and said, like the time you fought Rhino on the Brooklyn Bridge, implying that Rhino is indeed physically stronger than him, but they have to beat him through other means, not just raw strength. In this Miles Morales game being, for example, his strength plus his electricity being kind of like a weakness, an elemental weakness type of thing. You know his strength has to be somewhere in the ballpark of Peter's because we've literally seen him fight an amped up Peter, symbiote black suit Peter that was turned into Venom basically, and we've seen him do a great job against him. And he's the one that helped him get this suit off of him in the first place. You see Peter in a black suit try to punch him here, for example, and he's able to stop and grab it with his super strength. So yeah, he got to be somewhere in his ballpark, even if you agree that Peter has the advantage a little bit. The gap isn't big at all, really, or that big for that matter. I mean, it's literally confirmed by Peter Parker himself, Spider-Man himself, that the symbiote does grant him extra strength. And Miles fought this version of Peter, so yeah, he has to be in that ballpark or range. I mean, literally the same foes we've seen Peter Parker Spider-Man fight in base state. We literally seen Miles also clash with the same being, so they gotta be somewhere in the same ballpark of strength. You see what I'm saying? And we know Martin Lee has super strength and energy projection. We see Miles blast him off here, even doing the same techniques he used against Peter, making this giant energy demon like this, you know? And there was even plenty of times he got the upper hand over Martin Lee. Even when Martin Lee went in his head, and that's supposed to be his realm, like this mindscape, we've seen Miles still overpower him here, showing his willpower on top of it. Even getting the advantage and winning basically against Martin Lee to where he was defenseless, sending him out the place. I would say when it comes to punching power and his electricity put together into it, where does he rank in the hierarchy when it comes to how hard other beings can hit in this universe versus the symbiotes, for example? I would say it would look something like this when it comes to the power hierarchy. Like, I wouldn't say he's up there with Venom. He's enough to fight him, and I would say he's above top tier symbiotes like her, Scream maybe by slightly, one could say. The minion symbiotes, he can foderize them, and he's even stronger by a lot, the brutes. But back real quick to the fodder ones, like, they're still superhuman, and he can basically one shot knock out these fodder symbiotes, so let you know his level of power compared to him. Even without him having no symbiote himself, he's above most symbiotes. These even bigger brutes are no match for his raw power and just strength in general. I mean, matter of fact, one of the top tier symbiotes, Venom, he pushed back here, and these symbiotes are still super strong, but they're still considered featherweight compared to Miles because we literally see him handle them with just one punch. I'm talking about a massive swarm of them. He's just fighting on his own, one-shotting some of them, dragging them down. I mean, sure, he might not say that he's holding back, but trust me, these hits against these normal people like this, And like this is not the same amount of punching power he uses against symbiotes. He has to use a lot more force against the symbiote. One thing that makes this universe's version of Miles unique is that he can actually absorb energy or electricity, one could say, to kind of use it outwardly to kind of make him jump a tier or two by how much energy he can absorb. But it does hurt quite a bit if he absorbs too much energy though. So there's a limit to it, obviously. But this is the reason why you're going to see him in this video do some crazy destructive stuff that he normally won't be able to just do, like spamming it normally, right? Can't hold the energy, he has to let it outward. Miles can actually withstand getting struck by lightning, and Peter, of course, Peter can't because he can't absorb energy. Like, this is what I'm talking about. He can change tiers based on how much lightning he stores up in him. Yeah, don't ask. Sandman was kind of crazy when he got near a beach. He was able to make a sandstorm that produced lightning. Yeah, Sandman was kind of a citywide threat. Like, we literally see Miles get struck by lightning and just eats it. Like, he doesn't even act like he feels it. Thick stuff like this, he can punch straight through. Even minion beings he has to match and overpower that can do this to the ground. Even if you somehow manage to capture him by some miracle, torturing him with these thick devices on his arm, that doesn't really mean much. He can literally break out of the restraints with his raw power. If you try to take off that mask, that just won't go well. If we're talking about strength, he can sling car doors like they're nothing, or big old gun turrets off of tanks he can rip off. You got on this occasion, this little blade he punched off, and it did all of this after his punch. There was this reactor that was going to vaporize all of Harlem with the amount of energy it was going to produce, and Miles had to be the one to redirect this energy and absorb it into himself, which dang near almost killed him, I would say. Shows that he does indeed have a limit, but it's a high limit on how much he can absorb. He basically let off like a nuclear explosion type up here. Like, this is a ridiculous amount of energy. People can see it way down there. So it's almost like, yo, if he wanted to be bloodless and absorb nuclear levels of energy output, he could be like real lethal. And he survived this fall from dang near space. Let's look at Harlem right quick. And the blast was apparently going to decimate the entirety of Harlem. Do you guys understand how many buildings were going to get obliterated? Miles had to absorb this type of energy. Bro, if Miles wanted to absorb a crazy amount of energy and just blast it at something, he would wipe out something or a structure this large. I mean, we're talking about blast power that can blow away an entire city, nuclear bomb types of blast power if he has the right power source. So him with prep time, if they have like an energy source they can use in a battle, he can go to it, use it in combat, and blow away this much if he really wanted to. Meaning with enough power source or enough energy to absorb, he could blow away some smaller mountains or some crap. But here's the thing, I don't want to make it seem like he has to rely on energy absorption to produce crazy punching power or blast power and things like that, because even without having like nuclear bomb levels of energy stored in him. See, in this occasion, they was fighting this being known as Sandman. He's a being, the stronger he gets, the more sand he gets to. This being was literally as big as buildings in this particular situation. One could say he's like Sandman's kryptonite because he doesn't like electricity. Not to mention Miles just has super strength. Without using electricity against Sandman to actually stagger beings that are literally building size with his punches and attacks. Thanks to Sandman being an extremely hard being to hit, they literally hit Sandman with pieces of his own face, bruh. It's crazy. Even Miles says it. What, you don't like your own face? Like, he's literally hitting Sandman with pieces of his own face he ripped off of him with his web. Seeing him do this stuff to Sandman, of course, when you see him hitting people like this, it's obvious he's not punching them their hardest. He's holding back massively. Imagine boxing out with a being that's this large. Literally boxing it out with a sand building, one can say. It's no wonder Peter Parker and Miles have to hold back if their punches can do stuff like this. I mean, they can't just go let loose anywhere. They can just level a building with their punches or tremble it without Miles having to rely on absorbing energy to produce blast power. Like, I'm not even counting his electricity on top of it. He can amp his punches with, like, his base electricity. I do have to admit, part of the reason why he's able to hurt Sandman so bad is because he's literally a walking kryptonite to Sandman too, because electricity and sand don't mix. So that's why you see occasions of them shooting water at Sandman and Miles pulling up to him with electricity to do extra damage to him and do extra, like, and hurt him that bad. Like, it's literally like they're fighting a building because this Sandman being can lift parts of the building up while they're fighting them. When we do add on electric manipulation when it comes to fighting Sandman, he's already his kryptonite technically. When he got charged up with lightning strikes over and over again, Miles was able to produce so much blast power, helping Peter in this situation charge up his arms and stuff. They was able to produce a energy blast. This is partly thanks to Miles, or a big chunk of this is Miles, because he's the one that helped blast energy at him like this, helping split Sandman apart into the water. So in short, he can basically do this, tremble buildings, blast down buildings, building-sized beings with just blunt punches, stagger them and such. But If we add his lightning enhanced punch, it makes it even worse, makes it have more concussive force, and it even goes up higher if he absorbs more lightning strikes to increase his lightning even more like he did against Sandman. I mean, let's just say it, your whole block is not safe. Multiple buildings, destruction. He would be able to blast down, stuff like that. Or at least make it feel like a whole bunch of buildings are smashing on your face if he really decided to punch you and didn't care about punching your head off. I mean, you got occasions like this, pretty much proving he could level a building if he wanted to, by just pulling it down if you wanted to, or punching it, either or. Strength to rip all of this down, trying to collapse it on Venom, for example. Like when they was literally in an underground tunnel, he can literally blast his way out of it. So Miles could just destroy a building. And you see what he did all the way down there. He could just destroy a building if he wanted to. He made his own path. Like, I gotta admit, neither of these Spider-Man can take on Venom one-on-one, but he did do a good job by himself against him. With his strength and electricity put together, pushed him off of him here. To give you an understanding of Miles' strength, we can see him stop this attack here. It was a struggle, of course, with Venom. And they had to use a weakness to get the upper hand on him here. Striking him here. But yeah, they had to team up on him. Yeah, Venom was just kind of overpowered at this game. With a double super punch. I mean, it's impressive. Miles was one-on-one-ing him for a bit, of course. He didn't win or nothing, but he was one-on-one-ing for a little bit against a Venom that can literally lift an entire school up or an entire football stadium and everything up with this tendril stretching that far with the other symbiote stuff around the city. But everybody, I hope you guys enjoyed. Miles is a fiend. He's a menace. He's extremely powerful. Did you guys learn anything new? Did you guys play the game yet? How strong do you think he is compared to some of the top tier symbiotes of this universe? Do you want to see him fight Carnage? I want to see what more they got to offer for him. How they gonna have Silk play though? But before I get going, everybody, I gotta say thanks for the donations. It does help out a lot. It helps me keep doing what I do. Respect Miles, PS5, Spider-Man 2. Hope you guys enjoyed. I'm glad you are enjoying your time on the channel. Make sure you check out the playlist on the channel to see other How Strong videos. If you like what this channel is offering, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and I will see you guys later.